Hi, good morning. Thank you for joining our webinar. My name is Chris Whelan. I'm from HBT Communications, and I'll be doing the intro this morning, and I'll be then handing over to Mark Russell from Swyx. There is a question and answer option, so please feel free to ask any questions via that, and we'll answer them at the end. We're also running a competition, which all participants are included. We'll be selecting the winner live at the end of the webinar. The winner will receive a Gigaset Ion USB handset speakerphone, and we'll also provide everyone with a free Teams license for a month for joining the webinar. So, technology has accelerated through the pandemic, with businesses worldwide adopting Teams within their organisations. Since 1998, the number of people that regularly work from home in the UK has increased by 2.73 million. After that, number of remote workers reached 5.6 million in 2020. HBT Communications are a gold partner and have been working with Swyx since 1995. And Swyx have heavily invested in the ongoing development of their product. Businesses have been using various applications. The challenge is now how you integrate Teams within your UC platform. And now is the time to integrate. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Mark from Swyx.
Okay, just before I start, would you believe it, my laptop has just powered down, so give me a couple of seconds. I'm going to talk about Teams because everyone's, excuse me, I'm trying to type at the same time as yeah, everyone's talking about Teams at the moment. Teams has a way of doing voice, and I'm going to demonstrate you the traditional way of doing voice in Teams, and then I'm going to talk about the way Swyx interpreted it. So give me 2 seconds. Would you believe we came online at 15:15 this morning, and we've run through this presentation 4 or 5 times, and it went absolutely perfectly. And the minute we start up, and no, right. So let me share my screen and share that. I didn't want to share that one. I'm sharing the wrong screen. And share. Okay. So hopefully you can all see my screen, and I'll make this a little bit bigger so we can see what's going on. So here is Teams. Everyone is aware of what Teams does.
Yeah, Mark.
Can't see it, it's still loading. I know what I'll do. I'll just stop the share a minute. It's because I've got a 4K screen on this one. I'll try and change the resolution down a bit. 1920. Let's see if this 1920 by 1080. Keep. Okay, let's try sharing the screen again.
Yep.
Everyone is seeing my screen? Perfect. Okay, so here is the traditional Teams interface. And if you wanted to do voice inside Teams, you would end up with an interface that looks like this. This is Teams embedded voice. Unfortunately, you do not get this for free. Depending on which Teams licensing you're on, whether you're on enterprise licensing or small business licensing, this will set you back anywhere between £15 and £30 per user per month. And the traditional way of doing voice calls, you type in the telephone number in here, you press enter. Oh, that's on the telephone number. +44 2 3 1 3 8 9 561. I press enter. No, it still hasn't dialed it. I use my mouse, I click that, and it still hasn't dialed it. Now I press the call button, and now I get a big pop-up, and my call control will appear in here, and it just becomes unmanageable. And if you want to do multiple calls, or you want to transfer calls, or anything like that, the whole thing becomes a bit of a pain. So the Swyx approach was to take the Swyx client and embed it into Swyx, into Teams. I'll make this a little bit smaller so I can. By the way, if anyone's got any questions at any time, feel free to fill in the chat, or we will do a question and answer session at the end. So if you don't want to type and just want to do it at the end, that's fine. So here I am inside Teams, and the most important thing about Teams presence information is the synchronization of data, the synchronization of presence. If I'm in a Teams call, I'm doing a video conference or something like that, I should not be interrupted with a voice call because someone's dialed my DDI or someone's dialing my company number. Likewise, if I'm involved in a telephony call, then people on Teams shouldn't be able to suddenly start videoing me because they should know that I'm busy. So we have this two-way synchronization. I know what's happening. As you can see, my presence information at the moment is showing me as away, and we've got a Swyx customer webinar. That's taken from my calendar here. So we can see here in my calendar, Yasmin has got an appointment in for me to do this. And so my Swyx status presence has changed, and everyone can see I'm in an appointment. I have access to the phone book in Swyx. I have access to the call journal in Swyx, so I can see all of my calls. I can see the missed calls. If you can see, I had a couple of missed calls yesterday. I can see my incoming and outgoing calls, etc., etc. Unlike Teams Voice, if I have multiple numbers inside Teams, I can select which number I want to present when I'm dialing out. In my case, I have two numbers I can present, lines 1 and 2. I do have a keypad if I want to dial, but obviously my numeric keypad on my keyboard will do this. But I also have access to visual contacts. Visual contacts is our plugin for Swyx that allows us to talk to third-party databases. But out of the box, without any additional licenses, you're going to be talking to your Outlook calendar, your Outlook contacts, and your Exchange contacts and to Active Directory without any plugins. I've got the plugin that gives absolutely everything. So in here, if I wanted to talk to HBT, I could just type in HBT here, and then the system will present me with HBT numbers. But better than that, if I actually go to visual contacts up here, if I want to go straight to Chris Whelan, for example, I can start typing in Chris's name, and I'm linked on a different computer, but it comes up with Chris's name, and it comes up with all the contact details inside there. And we can do all of this without any voice licenses on Teams. All you have to do is enable the Teams plugin into Swyx, and then you're away. Slight difference is when I do dial out, 9 for an outside line, 2, 3, 1, 2, 5, 9, 5, 6, 1. When I do dial out, the pop-up I get will be pop-up. I've got that Mac pop-up normally means I've got a special version of it, and this is going to come up and give you all the advanced features that you get inside Swyx. You've got the advanced call routing, you've got the voicemails, you've got group ringing, you've got ACD, call center functionality, all of that stuff, but you're still using the Teams client as your single pane of glass. And we even have some advantages in the Teams client that you don't see in the Swyx client normally. So here are all my speed dial buttons, but I can just tick this one here, and now I'm looking at only people that are logged on, only people that are available to speak to. That's a quick way of filtering out what's happening on your system. So that's Teams. Let me get this up and find the notes. Not that one. Okay. That one is the HBT one. So where are we with Teams? This is a roadmap just to talk about what we're doing with Teams at the moment. We're currently on version 13.25. So we've done the visual contacts integration already. We've done the two-way synchronization, and we've got the additional features there inside Teams. Where we go in with the next version. So the call handling, so I can make calls from Teams, and then you saw that Swyx it pop up. For those that don't want the Swyx it to pop up, the only reason you need our Swyx it client to pop up is so you got the hold and transfer buttons. We didn't put the hold and transfer buttons inside the Teams interface. We've had a request to do it, so we're going to introduce the call handling buttons inside the Teams client, so you don't even have to have the pop up at all. I don't know whether that's good or bad. Like I said, if you're a Teams voice user, you'll be used to having a pop-up anyway. But we've had a request for it, so we're going to deliver that. We're also going to introduce our visual groups into Teams. Visual groups is our call queuing and wallboard system that's available in the Swyx it client at the moment, and we're going to bring that into Teams. We also have our own version of video conferencing. It's not enterprise video conferencing, it's small business, or we tend to promote it as business to customer. Teams is a great business to business video collaboration tool, but if you're talking to end users, sometimes it's a bit overpowering and a bit over the top. So we have a simplified version of Teams. There's no application installed. Everything's done inside a web browser, and we'll be introducing that into Teams at the latter half of this year. So that's the roadmap just for the Teams integration. But we don't stop there. We've been very active since the amalgamation of Swyx Germany into the group. We are the founders of a group called Enreach, and some of you may be aware that Swyx Germany is now rebranded to Enreach GmbH. The Swyx product is alive and it's heavily invested, and it's now one of the flagship products in the group with over 2 million users at the moment, and it's one of the fastest growing products in the group. Visual Groups is our entry level into contact centers. It gives us skills-based call routing, wallboards, reporting, statistical analysis of calls, etc., etc. It's been very well accepted, and we've had a lot of feedback. So at the moment, most of the applications have been installed, the Swyx Groups applications have been installed in sub 50 users. We never anticipated it going very big, but we've had requests. So we're now going to improve the product, and we will support hundreds of agents for very large enterprises with our visual groups. And don't forget, this is going to work inside Teams as well. Some improvements to the wallboards. If you haven't seen visual groups yet, or you want a detailed presentation of visual groups, please get in touch with Chris or any of the team at HBT at the end of this call, and we'll arrange some one-on-one demonstrations of this call routing. It's incredibly powerful. You can route to agents most idle, you can do skills-based routing, you can do automatic callbacks. So if someone gets cut off having connected to one of your operators, if they call back within a preset period, they'll automatically connect straight to the person they were previously speaking to. We're going to improve the prompts for requesting a callback. So if you don't want to wait in the queue, you can request a callback. You'll be able to play different marketing messages to different people in different queues, etc., etc. And we're going to add trunk side recording to visual groups as well for those that require call recording. And that's just the roadmap for visual groups on its own. For the product itself, our Swyx roadmap, we've done quite a lot in the last year. More and more people are moving to cloud or moving to private cloud. So they're taking their Swyx servers and they're putting it in a data center, or they're going into the cloud products that HBT do. In some of these cases, they're actually getting rid of all their on-premise Active Directory. And one of the benefits of Swyx was that integration into Active Directory where you had a single sign-on. You could go to any computer on your network, use your Windows logon, and Swyx automatically logs on with that Windows authentication. This is what we call in the industry single sign-on. So we've now released single sign-on to 2 other environments, not just Microsoft Active Directory, but you can now do it with Azure Active Directory. So for those companies that have moved from an on-premise Active Directory into a fully hosted Azure Active Directory with Office 365, we've got the single sign-on, and that's already been released. That was released with 13.2.5. We're also released authentication with Auth0. Auth0 is one of the newer single sign-on companies. You can go to their website and find out. A lot of big players have already signed up to this. So Sage, SAP, a lot of Office applications are using this single sign-on. It adds a level of security where you don't have to remember lots of passwords, and you can have a complex password via a single sign-on entity. Coming up, Google Calendar synchronization. So at the moment, our calendar synchronization is done 100% with Microsoft. We've been in Microsoft's bed for the last 23 years, but we do realize that more and more companies are now looking at other solutions for Office delivery, and Google Calendar is one of the biggest ones. So Google Calendar synchronization will happen in 13.3.0. So like you saw earlier, because I'm in this meeting, my presence information has changed because I have a calendar entry in Outlook. Well, we'll extend that to Google Calendars in 13.3. For those that aren't aware of it, we now support the Yealink range of handsets for automatic provisioning, etc. We'll be introducing the Yealink 31. This is a entry-level handset from Yealink. We're going to improve the web extension inside Swyxit. We're using a very old web extension in Swyxit that doesn't support some of the latest HTML5 technologies, and that's going to be introduced in 13.4. There is WebRTC on its way as well. I'm not going to go into the technical details, but it's a technology that lots of people are talking about at the moment. WebRTC is the sort of thing that Google uses for their Google Chat. Apple's is a version of WebRTC, and even Teams uses a WebRTC variant. So we'll be delivering a WebRTC client. So in other words, a client that you don't have to install anything, you can run it from the browser. There'll be new mobile clients coming. As a group, next year we'll be launching a new unified mobile client to replace the iOS and Android versions of our client. It's just a more modern feel and a better look. Visual contacts. At the moment, to be a member of the call center, you have to be running the Swyxit skin. It does not work with the mobile. We will be introducing visual contacts on the mobile and also on Yealinks, etc. So you'll be able to search for contacts from your standard telephones and from your mobile. And the other stuff is all fairly techy, but an audio codec upgrade, We talked about meetings, our Swyx meetings product, that's going to be integrated even deeper into us. And we're going to change our voicemail. So, but that's the techie stuff. So as can be seen, we've got a quite exciting year ahead of us. And if I was able to share the roadmap for 14.5 and 15, there is some incredible stuff coming towards the end of 2024 and into 2025. So lots of time and lots of time to get feedback from you guys. So that's the roadmap. That's where we're going. What I thought I'd do, what I've been asked to do, is share with you a couple of tips and tricks on Swyx, things that you may not be aware of. My Swyx client, let me just change it to a client that you may be more akin to, not the Teams one. There are a whole lot of new skins coming out as well. We've already released some of them. But here's my skin. Let's just bring it along. So tips and tricks. First of all, I hope everyone is aware of our most popular feature, but I'm surprised when I get feedback from some customers that have had Swyx for several years and don't realize it can do it. Swyx has the ability out of the box to dial from any application. All you have to do is highlight the telephone number and press F11 in your keyboard, and Swyx dials it. Whether it's a web page, whether it's a signature in an email, it doesn't matter. If I was to pull up a web page, if I was to search, right now my browser is, let's use the other browser. There we go. If I was to search for HBT communications, if I want to call them, there's their telephone number. Or if you see the telephone number like this that highlights when you hover over it, you can just click on it and Swyx is going to dial it for you. Otherwise, you can just cut and paste it. You can cover it with your mouse, highlight it and press F11 and Swyx will dial it. And like I said, that works from any application. A couple of things about speed dial buttons and features in speed dial buttons that people may not be aware of. If you right click on your speed dial button and go down to properties, there are a couple of things you can do here that you may not be aware of. If the person hasn't published a picture of themselves, you can put a picture in for them. So at the moment, the user graphic is automatic. There is no, Chris hasn't put a photograph on there, so I can select a picture and I can just browse the network, find a picture, and now I have a picture for him. But more importantly, is, let's go to Chris again. I go to properties. A feature that people aren't using is this linked contact. If I open up the linked contact, what we're going to do is we're going to search for Chris in databases that I'm connected to. As I said, out of the box, we are connected to your Outlook calendar. I'm connected to Exchange, and I'm connected to Active Directory. But in our case, I'm searching a lot more. So if I was to search for Chris in all our databases, it hasn't come up. Visual contact search. Pizza. Oh, I know why, because I haven't got Outlook on this machine. Pizza. What a bad demonstration. This is because I've switched machines because my laptop crashed. You will get a list of linked contacts, and when you select those telephone numbers will now be available to you. So if I was to hover over a person, you get this pop-up which shows their status, and then the drop-down menu would give you those external telephone numbers. Or if I right-click and go to call, they will appear in this list here. So I can go to call, and Kevin's numbers there. If I go to Harold and right click on there and go to call, I will see Harold's additional telephone numbers there. And if Harold changes his telephone number and you change it inside your Outlook contacts, it will automatically change inside your Swyx client. As easy as that. It's a really useful feature. So you don't have to have separate buttons for users. You can put multiple telephone numbers under one contact. I have multiple tabs on this one. I can move my speed dial buttons around. If I want to move, if I go to this one here, for example, and I want Thomas, I don't want Thomas on there, I want Thomas down there, I can just drag and drop Thomas and move him down. Do I want to move it? Yes. Now I've moved my speed dial button. So that's those tips and tricks. If I go to visual groups, and there's the visual groups called queuing, and there's my contacts. And the final thing I was going to show you, if I go to this one and look at Outlook. In Outlook, it is possible to make calls from things like your calendar. If I go to my calendar, if I right click on my calendar, you get the, so I've got a call there for Yasmin. If I right click and select initiate call, it will make a call to Yasmin if I've got her telephone number in my contacts. So that works. You've already seen I can dial from my cut and paste by pressing F11, highlighting the telephone number, press F11. The other feature you may not have seen in Swyx is in Outlook and Swyx is the journal. Microsoft have removed the journal from your Outlook, but the journal actually gives you a personal timeline of all your telephone calls. And that's there. And in fact, even better than that, you can ask Swyx to screen pop these contact details. And when I make a call, this card will screen pop. So as can be seen, I made a call to Mark's mobile.
In the world with 158 verses.
Sorry, my Amazon device just started talking to me. Swyxit. I made a call from Swyxit to my mobile and I screen popped this and I spoke about Swyx 14 and that contact. You can control all of this yourselves. It is incredibly easy. If you go to Outlook, you go to your home and go to File and then Options. Inside Options, you will find this Add-ins. Click on Add-ins and then press the Add-in options. Here, you're talking about how Swyx interacts with Outlook. I've got it screen popping my Outlook contacts on an incoming call. This option down here is usually switched off, but unknown caller, this is so powerful. If someone rings me and I do not have their contact details in my contacts list, this will automatically create a new contact with the telephone number already in there, and it will screen pop that contact card. So during the conversation, I can type in the username and their address details and any other notes I want. And I'm constantly keeping my personal contacts list up to date with everyone that calls me. A real powerful feature. The value of many companies is not what they do, it's who they deal with, and keeping your contacts up to date is really important. The journal down here, you can see my journal is going to screen pop every time I make a call because I've got enter in journal and display for external calls from the drop down list. At the moment, your system will be set for enter in journal. Even though you're not seeing it, those entries are still there. And I can control the journal entry for incoming and outgoing calls. So that's just a couple of tips and tricks on some of the features that our customers use frequently when they're aware of them. I'm going to stop my share now and Yasmin's going to talk about a giveaway, I think. Hello.
Sorry, just bear with me. I'm just going to share my screen. I won't be a moment.
That's okay.
Okay, as promised, we are doing a giveaway. So everyone that's attended will get a free Teams license for a month. In order for Teams to work on your system, you do require Swyx version 13. But as part of this giveaway, we will be, those that don't have Swyx versions 13, we will be looking at a package for you, and Chris will be in touch with you after the webinar. In terms of the Gigaset Iron, I'm going to use this tool, hoping it works for us. So just bear with me to try and do a live pick now. So I won't be a moment. Okay, we're in. So let's do a.
I don't see my name on there.
So we've got Mark, yeah, I think Mark Gillett. So we'll be in touch with you, Mark, after the webinar and discuss how we get that out to you. Okay, we'll move over to the Q&As now, Mark. So I'll stop my share and.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you just want to put the Q&A screen up, we can deal with it from there. Does anyone have any questions for me?
I think we've got a question around, is Swyx integrated fully with AD now, then for users?
Yes, for Active Directory, we've always been fully integrated for the on-premise solution or private cloud products. So if you have your own dedicated Swyx server, then yes, it can be joined to your Active Directory and everything works for single sign-on. If you're using a shared cloud platform, then we can integrate with Azure Active Directory, because in a shared cloud platform like Nuage, you wouldn't join the shared cloud into your Active Directory.
Okay.
I've got one here for you as well, Mark. Why shouldn't we move everything to Teams?
Oh,
There's always one.
Yes, it's quite frustrating. I've been in telephony for way too long. It's quite frustrating that I see customers that have got really capable phone systems, and I'm not pushing Swyx here. I'm talking about telephony in general. There are products out there that have been around for 30 years, 40 years, and have all the experience of telephony and know how to do telephony correctly. The minute you go to Teams, you've got a telephony product that's only been doing real telephony for a couple of years. It's missing a lot of functions that you expect. The minute you put a phone on your desk, you think there are several things that I can do very simply, very easily, like ring a group of phones. I mean, this is not a feature that anyone talks about anymore because everyone does it. No, not when you go to Teams. If you want to change your call routing, if you want to do clever, we call it IVR, when you press 1 for this and 2 for that, and you want to be in control of it and you want to do it, then you should do it with your telephony solution. And to throw away something you already own to start paying every month Microsoft some money to do less than you currently do with your current product, I just don't get it. I really, as an engineer, I don't understand. And if I was a startup, if I was a brand new company, yes, it's very easy to go to Microsoft, but it's very easy to go to Swyx. There's no complication in going to HBT and say, I want 20 extensions, I'm a startup, and I only want to pay whatever it is that Nuage are charging. I mean, it doesn't make sense to put all your eggs into Teams. And the only benefit you're going to get, forget the fact that you're going to lose functionality, let's talk about benefits. The only benefit you're going to get is you only install one application on your desktop. it's Microsoft Teams, which is not a good telephony product, but you have that. If you stay with whatever product you have at the moment, whether it's Swyx or anyone else's, you've got 2 applications on your desktop, but you already own one of them, and the other one you can get for free. But no, you want to throw away what you've got, and you want to pay Microsoft lots of money to do something worse than you currently do. So why shouldn't you go to Microsoft? Because it doesn't make sense. Why should you go to Microsoft? Because you only have one application on your desktop.
Yes, Mark, that's brilliant. Thank you.
Mark, I've got another one. Is there any downtime for integration with Teams?
No downtime whatsoever. The Teams integration, you do have to be running version 13, any of the version 13s, but if you were upgrading, you would always upgrade to the latest version of 13.25, I believe. So there is a downtime to do the upgrade. The downtime is on average 15 minutes. But if you're already on version 13, there is 0 downtime. It's just add the license, put in the connection into Microsoft Teams, and that's it. Job done.
Fantastic. I've got another one for you, Mark. The chat's busy. So will Swyx Teams be able to record individual users' calls? Will it be able to provide a summary of calls received and made each day by department and user easily?
Yes, absolutely. Call reporting, absolutely no problem whatsoever. You can take the raw data if you want to. If you have an IT department that's using what's that Microsoft reporting tool these days that everyone's using? Power BI. If you want to use Power BI to do it and you want to do a lot of work, or you can just take our standard call reporting options. There is an advanced call reporting option inside that's included in visual groups for the contact centers, and there are other reporting options that have the reports already built for you if you're not a contact center solution. So yes, we have a solution for it, and you can do daily reports, weekly reports, monthly reports, how many calls you lost, how many calls you answered, etc., etc., etc.
Thank you, Mark. I think Yasmin's got one more for you.
Just last one. Can I trial a version before I buy, which I think we covered earlier, but I'll let you.
Absolutely. Anyone attending this panel today, this webinar, we've arranged a 30 for the Microsoft product. We've arranged a 30 days demonstration. If you want to demonstrate, if you want to try the visual groups, we can definitely make the visual groups licenses available for you for trial for 30 days. That's not a problem. It's just liaising with the HBT engineers and deploying it for you. But absolutely no problem.
That's great. Thanks ever so much, Mark. Well, I think that covers everything today. I'd like to obviously thank Mark and Yasmin for the help on the webinar this morning, and thank everybody for joining. I will reach out to everybody that's been part of the webinar over the next few days. And obviously, if you've got any further questions or you require any further information, please don't hesitate to give me a call. Thanks for your time, everybody. Goodbye.
You.
Bye.